Hi, I'm Declan Conway. I'm the lead researcher on the UMFULA project. UMFULA means river in Zulu, and it's an acronym standing for Uncertainty Reduction in Models for Understanding Development Applications. And for UMFULA, we're going to be working in Tanzania in the Rufiji River Basin and also in Malawi in the Lower Shire River Valley, which is the main river draining from Lake Malawi. And I wanted to just say a few words about a trip that we've had this week. We've been in Malawi for the first time for the inception period for the workshop, and we've been visiting a number of different stakeholders in the area, talking to them about some of their priorities, what they're interested in, letting them know about our project and what we're intending on doing, and trying to work out where we think the main areas of integration and connections are between the existing problems and priorities and what we'd like to do as part of the UMFULA project. So there are three main things that I wanted to reflect on really on the week. It's been very good. People have been very receptive and interested in some of the work that we would like to do. The first main thing that has struck me is just how important at the moment climate is, because Malawi has undergone 2 years of very disruptive climate events. In 2015, last year, there were major floods in the Shire River Valley which were devastating, and the country was declared in a state of emergency. This year, associated with the El Nino event, we've seen much lower than average rainfall. There's been extensive drought in parts of the country, and that's feeding through into affecting the crop yields, and again the country has declared a state of emergency in relation to the drought, with concerns about food security over the next few months. So climate is looming large in everybody's views, and a new project on climate change, climate variability, is seen to be very timely and very important for the country. The second point I wanted to think about a little bit was just the visits that we've had. We've been to 3 districts down in the south of the country, and then we've spent a couple of days in the capital here in Lilongwe, and we've been talking to various government departments, and then out in the districts talking to district officials and other stakeholders who are involved in natural resource management. And that's been really very useful, finding out what their priorities are, what they're working on, and making sure that with our project design we can identify the gaps and the needs and design our work plan in view of that. So that's again been working well. And then the third point I wanted to make about the trip was that we're out here trying to find what we think would be useful case studies for the research, and the research is looking at how do we make decisions over the longer term about major investments around water infrastructure, around hydropower or new irrigation, and to make decisions about those investments in the face of uncertainty related to climate change, but also related to other stresses and drivers that are occurring in the country. So we're looking for examples where there are big decisions being made by government departments or other types of stakeholders, private sector, for example, and we want to identify those, find the decision makers who are interested in climate change as an issue, and then work through the way in which we would collaborate with them to support their decision-making processes. And the kinds of things that we might work on there include the Shire River is the outflows of Lake Malawi. Lake Malawi has varied a lot in the past. That generates high flows and low flows in the river, which affects water supply to irrigation systems. For hydropower, there's been a lot of power disruption because of low flows in the river, and that's been extremely disruptive, with electricity load shedding, cutting off the power supply to different parts of the country. So out of those, we're looking at probably identifying some areas where there is plans for irrigation expansion, and then we may look at a second example, which would be one for hydropower and the sensitivity of hydropower to fluctuations in the Shire River. But we're also considering a couple of other examples. We went to a tea plantation, and there they were very concerned about the recent climate variability and interested in ideas about the way the climate may change in the future, or information on that we could feed into them to help their strategic planning processes. So we're wondering also about perhaps taking a sectoral approach to decision making, which could include something like tea as a product and working with the tea plantations. So there are three main things which have come out of the trip, which has been very useful. It's my first time in Malawi, so that's been a fantastic experience. The rest of the team have been here many times, and they're meeting old friends and connections in different institutions, so we've had a very productive and successful week.